Welcome to the Energetically You podcast, where we talk all things healthy habits, abundant mindset, and optimal wellness. I'm your host, Megan Swan, creator of the Sustainable Integrated Wellness Approach. This podcast is for ambitious women who are looking to level up their energy so that they feel happier and more productive throughout their day in all of their projects and passions. Inside, we are going to be talking about ways to truly tune into our minds and bodies in new ways to leverage our natural energy sources. Specifically today, we're going to be talking about our feminine energy sources. I had the privilege to interview a powerhouse in the online space, Joy Harrington. She's the founder of Level Up Babe. She's a podcast host, a business coach, mentor, and Instagram expert. After generating over $1 million in sales on Instagram over the last 4 years, she decided to take that hard-earned knowledge and help pay it forward to other women who want to level up their life to get their voice and their services out there on a powerful platform. From a college dropout to a 5-figure months as an online entrepreneur, Joy has made it her mission to help other women get out of their own way to create massive success, find their voice, and live their true purpose. I invited her to the podcast to share with us her expertise on feminine energy and how we as women can learn to lean into ours and trust our process. So let's dive in. Welcome back to Energetically You. Here today, I'm chatting with Joy Harrington. She is all things powerhouse of a woman. I am so thrilled to have you on the show. Thank you for agreeing to be on.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me on. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the quick response. And can you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you come to be the founder of Level Up Babe?
Yeah, so 5 years into my marriage with my husband, we went through rock bottom in our marriage. I found out he had a pornography addiction. There was infidelity. It was a huge moment for me where I felt like I lost everything. I had 2 kids. I still have 2 kids, but at the time they were 3 and 5 months old. And I, at that point in time, began to question, who even am I? If I'm not a wife, if I'm a mom to these 2 kids, like, who am I if I can lose my identity so easily? And so after going through a huge grieving process, I began to want to work on myself and work on independence in our relationship too. So I had been trying to do the blogging thing. I was trying to make money doing a blog, doing the influencer thing, and I was making nothing. And I was actually spending money on getting clothes and not making anything back. And so I saw people doing network marketing, and I was like, you know what, that could be a vehicle for me that would give me something to sell right now. And then I can start making some income for myself. And I thought, I'll try it. I'll see if I like it. So I partnered with a network marketing company. I started to build a business. I started to take care of myself, and I fell in love with doing it. I fell in love with feeling like I was a businesswoman, all the things. And then I hit this point in my network marketing company where I had hit a big rank. My team had pushed really hard, and I felt like this is it. Like, this is all I really pushed for. Like, the rank was nice, but I felt burnt out. And I knew I had hit that point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I knew all along it was going to be my vehicle, but that doesn't make it easy to follow that gut intuition. And so my coach at the time said, you need to lean into that and you need to do what's right for you. So that's how I started Level Up Babe. I began to pivot and start my own brand. It started as teaching Instagram to entrepreneurs because my team and I had generated over $1 million in sales on Instagram. And so I thought I can teach this. So I started teaching Instagram, got my coaching certification, started coaching people, and then began to learn a lot more about masculine and feminine energy as we worked with our marriage coach, my husband and I, and began to really pivot again in my business into more feminine energy. And so here we are today, and that's all Level Up Babe.
Amazing. That's quite the story. And I feel like the part where you found network marketing and the whole journey there and getting to a point where you realize your end goal wasn't what you were maybe anticipating that you were going to feel once you achieved it. I've heard that side of it a few times, and I feel that it's maybe a common thing that a lot of business coaches online are finding, that they need to clarify, like, the end goal is one thing, but if you're not enjoying the process and how you're getting there, sometimes it can be really disappointing that you get this, you reach this huge goal, and then you realize maybe you're missing something along the way because it's just not the feeling you were hoping for.
Well, yes. And looking back now with all the work that I've done on myself, I know I was just chasing approval. I was chasing achievement to make me feel worthy. I was chasing something outside of myself that I could point to and say, see, aren't I awesome? Because I did this thing. And anytime we're building from that place, no matter what we're building, or if we're parenting from that place or having a relationship from that place, we're always going to be disappointed because nothing outside of us can ever fill that. It's only within ourselves that we can find that. And so that was part of the problem. And the other part of the problem was, looking back now, I can also say I was building in masculine mode. So not enjoying that process. Yeah, it was very much push, grind, hustle. I need to make this thing happen. Very forced. None of it was like natural and flow and happening because of who I was. Instead, I was making it happen to tell me who I was.
Yeah. Well, I thank you so much for sharing that part of it too, because I think, well, and that's why I wanted to talk to you today, specifically your expertise on the difference. Even, can you start there by defining for people what are we even talking about, feminine versus masculine energy?
So we all have feminine and masculine energy within us. We are all energetic beings. We're all made up of energy. And what I mean by that is more of like a state of being, right? Like you can get vibes from someone, right? You can feel how they are when they show up, and you can tell if you vibe with someone or not. Well, that's your energy, right? And so everyone has masculine and feminine within them, but we all have one that we are more primary in. And most women it's more natural for them to be stronger in feminine. Not all, but most women. And the difference is masculine is very push. It's very structured. There's a lot of routine, right? It's very, it's like push, grind, hustle, routine, erect. When you look at like corporate America, it's very set up as masculine, right? We've got deadlines. We've got specific boundaries. You've got all of these things. Feminine is way more like a creative would be, like an artist would be. It's very flowy. It's very wanting to multitask, being multi-passionate. It's using your intuition. It's using your feelings. It's following your heart. It's being very heart-led. And it's soft in the fact that it's approachable, right? It can adapt is what I would say, as opposed to being this like very rigid structure that's very masculine. And so most people are taught when they're building a business, they're taught a masculine way. It's like, go get the sale, and here's how you close sales, and here's how you overcome objections. And like, that's all very masculine, and that works. I've done it, but I didn't like it, right? We do it because we kind of have to as women. We've been taught to fit into a man's world. Well, that's how. And so feminine is using more the law of attraction, right? And attracting people to you and using your intuition to go, I think I feel something with this person. Maybe I'll reach out to them, see if there's something there, right? So it's a completely different way of building business.
Definitely. But do you feel like there does need to be a balance for everyone, or do different people have different balances that are more appropriate for them? How do you coach on that?
So there's obviously a balance because you can't just sit around in your feelings all day. But here's what I like to tell people is if you're actually leaning into your true feelings, you will be inspired to act, right? Because your true feelings, the highest version of you, is wanting you to get off the couch and do something, right? Like the highest version of you isn't like, let's just do Netflix and chill all day. That's actually a shadow. That's a shadow version of you. That's not the highest version of you. So it's more so less worrying about balancing the two. And it's more so teaching women how to connect to that highest version of them, how to use meditation, visualization to get the inspiration, to get the downloads, to get the ideas, and then practicing embodying the feeling already of having it now. So embodying the feeling of it already being done. You already have the clients, you already have the sales, you already have the relationship. That's a huge part of it. And then based on that, how would you show up today? Because you're going to show up. You're not going to be like, sweet, Netflix and chill, right? Like you would show up, but you're going to show up feeling different. And that's what people can feel in the DMs. They can feel how you're showing up if you're showing up from this place of like, I need a sale versus I'm already great. I don't actually need this. I'm just throwing this out there.
Love that. Definitely. It's such a dramatic shift in energy, and people sense that, right? Even in written messages.
Yes.
You mentioned that the balance in your relationship. Can you touch a little bit on the masculine and feminine energy in relationships and how that plays out?
Yeah. So we first started learning about masculine and feminine because of our relationship. We started working with a marriage coach and we were like, hey, the spark is gone. There's like no attraction there, at least on my side for me. And so that happens when both people are showing up in the relationship kind of neutral. They're not holding a strong pull. So when you think of masculine and feminine, think two magnets that can attract or repel. And you need strong differences for there to create friction, for there to be a spark. And so when you live together, when you're having a relationship together, people can tend to become more and more and more alike. And that makes them more neutral in their energetic state. And so for my husband, he had to really learn to lean into his masculine and learning how to show up more in that way where he's the rock. He's firm. He's solid. He's holding down the fort. He's making the decisions. Yes, he's including me, right? But sometimes I felt like all the decisions were up to me. And that's not my natural state as the feminine. I want to be able to go like, well, I feel like this. Now I feel like this, right? Oh, I know I don't want that. But, because that's leading with your heart. And so he had to learn to lean into that. I had to learn how to soften into feminine because I was showing up so hard in my masculine for my business. It was very hard for me to turn that off and be like, now I'm going to be receptive. I'm going to be receiving. I'm going to be here to flow. I'm going to be here to feel. I'm going to be present. I'm going to experience pleasure, right? Experiencing pleasure is a big part of feminine. And so many women are disconnected even from that. And I'm not just talking in the bedroom. I mean, in general, using our five senses to experience things. So it was both of us learning how to do that. And when we can both relax into those, there's naturally more of a spark there than when we're both showing up in a more neutral place.
Amazing. So can you give us some more, day-to-day practical ways that you see that playing out, or, maybe things that you remind yourself to do that you weren't doing before?
For me, showing up in my feminine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a big part of mine is my morning routine, and it's not getting up and working out. It's getting up and letting myself feel what is going to be first for me today. What am I going to do? Yes, I have some constants. I get some water. We have to let the dog out, right? But what do I feel like doing first? Is it a workout? Is it my meditation? Is it one or the other? Whereas before I would have been like, nope, don't think about it. Just do it, right? Just go. And boom, you're already into masculine mode. So I feel into it first, but then I highly prioritize meditation, visualization, journaling, and reading. nothing of which we've been taught is like morning routine. Usually we're taught like workout, celery juice, right? Like all the doing, which is very masculine. And yes, I like to move my body. But I've also incorporated a lot more dance. I've incorporated a lot more yoga, a lot more getting into my body and getting in touch with my body so that I'm not just always in my head, but actually being able to feel through my body. So those are big. I also take a bath pretty much like every day just to relax and sink into myself and have time with myself and just be quiet and not feel like I'm go, go, go mode. So those are some things that I like to do.
Yeah, I personally think that there's something really nourishing to taking baths. Like we don't necessarily think of it that way. Immersing yourself in water. There's lots of history in terms of more ritual practices that do that. But I mean, even we have a pool, and sometimes like all I need is just dive into the pool and like float and spend a few minutes. Part of it is like this absolute silence, but part of it is the floating or the feeling submerged in water is really, I think, intuitively feminine, right?
Yes. Yeah, because water is flowy. So when you think of masculine and feminine, masculine is supposed to be like the rock or the bank, and the feminine is like the river that bumps up against the bank and bumps up against the rock, but it gets to flow. So that's actually a great way of putting it.
I love that. So, and the other thing you touched on really, I mean, I am very strict with myself, if you will, a discipline, let's say, in my sort of Monday to Friday morning routine. And it has a little bit of everything you said. Like I do, I often run, but I first meditate. I often journal. I don't read. Maybe I should try and get that in the mornings. But the point is, I feel like I'm not that flexible with myself during the week. And then I let myself on the weekend do more of what you say in terms of leaning into, am I feeling like yoga? Am I feeling like a dance class? Am I feeling like maybe nothing, or, like just the meditation, and then taking the day off from being so structured?
And I think that's because we've been told that we can't trust ourselves. We can't trust that leading because that's not going to produce results. But here's what I like to challenge you with is that, are there people out there that are living this way where they trust themselves and they're letting themselves feel into things and they're crushing it and they're successful and they're producing results? Yes.
Yes.
Are there people out there who are doing it the other way, where they're like, no, I'm not going to lean into that. I'm going to stick to my routine, blah, 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 and it's producing results? Yes. So it's never a question of which belief is right. It's what do you want to believe? Because there is evidence for and proof for either one. Whatever you believe, you're going to be right. You're going to look for proof that you're right. You're going to look for evidence that you're right. And that comes into a lot of the mindset work that I do with people and learning how to reframe limiting beliefs and things that are coming up that aren't serving who they are now and where they want to go. And that's why it's so important to lean into your intuition and say, am I doing something because this is what I was told? Do I actually believe this? Does this fit who I am now? Is this what I want moving forward? So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, I think it's so, I mean, one of the things I talk about a lot with my clients is sustainability, right? And so whatever, you need to do some trial and error to figure out what works for you, and what works for you now might not work for you in 5 years or 10 years, or what worked for you when you were in your 30s, right? So it's being open to the natural shifts and that we're all different. Sometimes that can be a cause of conflict in a relationship where we have different styles of all of these things, and accepting that might not work for everybody,
Oh yeah. And that's letting your intuition lead and your heart lead, and the feminine's going to flow. So she's going to grow and change and pivot and evolve and expand. And that's allowing and honoring that process rather than forcing it to fit into a box.
Right. So what are you working on these days specifically?
I have a retreat coming up the end of this month, which I'm very excited for. It's going to be my first live event that I have put on. It's at my house in Scottsdale, Arizona. And then I have a mastermind and one-on-one clients. That's what my big focus is right now. just helping women tap into that feminine energy when it comes to their business.
So tell us more about the retreat. Is it a few days? What's it going to look like?
Yeah. It's Saturday the 27th and Sunday the 28th of February. All day Saturday, half day Sunday. We're going to be doing a mixture of bringing in other powerhouse business women to speak and do some Q&A, but then we're also bringing in people to do like an energy activation healing ceremony and some womb healing. So we're definitely going to be embracing that feminine side. There's some other things that I'm going to leave unsaid because it's going to be a surprise, but very much wanting to give women the space to and let go of a lot of fears, a lot of limitations, a lot of things that are coming up for them that they're not taking the time to process and honor and let go of. And it's keeping them stuck on this constant hamster wheel where they go. And then they have a day where they crash and then they do it all over again, right? That's just a sign that you have stuff going on inside that you need to take the time to honor and process and release. And then also take the time to work on their business instead of in their business. We're in it so much. We don't take the time to work on it. So you'll have a whole weekend to be working on it. And then I love bringing women together to be mirrors for each other and to really recognize that other people see greatness in them. And so there's going to be a lot of things we're going to be doing to encourage that with the women and speaking life into each other and basically seeing ourselves through someone else's eyes, because that can be huge, and realizing, oh my gosh, other people see this in me. I can give myself that credit and see that in me too. And just having that tribe, that sisterhood of women that say, I totally believe in you. You can totally do this. And I'm cheering you on. And then forming relationships from that last. I have relationships that have lasted from events that I've gone to that were live. And that's huge. As a woman entrepreneur, we can feel so alone. We can feel isolated. So I think it's huge to have that tribe.
Definitely. I completely agree. I've met some incredible women at events like that. And it can really even change your path, So yes. I personally think that there is a dramatic shift, and I think it was happening before the pandemic, but maybe that has accelerated even because there seems to be more power with the online. But in the online space, there is this explosion of female coaches that are really empowering other women. Have you felt into that? Have you felt the same way? That it seems like a revolution of sorts towards the feminine.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's reflective of everything going on in the world right now, too. I think we're coming back to the feminine in general, which we need. We've had a very patriarchal society and culture and all of the things. And so I think there has to be a healthy shift to come back into balance. So I'm here for it. I've been seeing it. I'm excited for it. And I think the more, the better.
Me too. That's awesome. I love how you worded it. Can you leave our listeners with just one or two sort of micro things that they can do to lean more or maybe trust more their feminine energy?
Yes, building that relationship with your intuition is your best way to start leaning into your feminine. And one of the biggest things that holds women back is that they rely on their masculine so hard that they undervalue and undercharge themselves because their masculine is not their natural nature. And they know that intuitively. So women show up wanting to guarantee some sort of outcome or result, or they feel like if I can't guarantee some sort of outcome and result, I can't charge this price, even though other people think I'm worth it, or I probably should be worth it. And that's very masculine, to guarantee an outcome, to guarantee a result. And that's relying on a masculine process in order to justify your price. And so I tell women, when you lean into your intuition, you understand that the process is what they're paying for. And the process is the change, the transformation. And your intuition will always lead you to the best process for yourself and for your clients. And when you trust that, then you can charge what you are worth, because you don't feel like you're leaning into having to guarantee some sort of outcome and it doesn't feel natural to you. No, it doesn't feel natural to you. Your intuition and the process feels natural to you, but we fear that. We don't trust it because we don't have a relationship with our intuition. So it's giving yourself time every single day to tap into your intuition. So I would take time during your meditation or visualization to not listen to anything. Sometimes I listen to music, right? But that's it. And just saying, like, what do I actually really want? Like, where am I not being honest with what I actually really want? Because most women haven't been completely honest, and they have resentment, or they have anger, or they feel frustrated. And it's because they are letting themselves be satisfied with a first answer, because we think that's what we could ask for, or we should ask for, or what's expected of us, instead of going, is that what I actually really want? So asking yourself that question, and you might have to write out a few times, because your first answer might not be right. You're going to have to keep digging and keep digging and keep digging. Be like, if this is my one chance to like literally ask for everything, is this actually what I actually want? And giving ourselves permission to voice that. So many women have never given themselves permission to even just say, this is what I actually really truly want, the bottom of my heart, and I've never shared this with anyone, right? And then asking yourself, what is one thing that I can do today that would be following my heart or following my intuition? It doesn't have to be huge. It can be small, but it's the feeling of like, oh, I think I feel like dancing right now. Or I don't think I feel like working out today. I think I feel like doing yoga, right? Honoring that and leaning into that, because you've got to start working that muscle. The more that you develop that muscle and develop a trust relationship with your intuition, that's when you're going to use it way more. You're going to step into that superpower. And again, you're going to stop undervaluing and undercharging, because you're going to trust it and you're going to trust the process.
Amazing. I think therein comes an ability to take a layer of judgment off of ourselves as well, right? You learn to trust your own process and thoughts and desires, and then it's not as loud, all of the outside opinions.
Oh, I mean, removing judgment is so huge, and not labeling anything good or bad. It's one of my favorite questions to ask my clients is like, what if this wasn't good or bad? Like, removing that label is huge, because then people actually feel free to really explore themselves, to explore their heart, and to actually put things out there or discuss things or question things that maybe they wouldn't have before. And so removing that label is so freeing, because it allows us to show up energetically different too. When we don't feel like it's a reflection of us being good or bad, we take off that pressure. We don't have pressure to perform or show up a certain way.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Are there any sort of parting words or last bits of advice you want to leave us with?
Oh my gosh. I don't know about parting words. I think I just shared it all, but definitely I think the best thing that I've ever done is followed that intuition and followed my desires, even when I didn't know the how, even when I didn't know totally why. But I found my coach, and I just was so drawn to her. And so I just started working with her. I didn't know the how. I didn't know how I was going to even come up with the money. I didn't know what I was doing. I hired her before I even had a brand. But I just knew that I felt so drawn to her, and that was my next step. I knew when we were going to move, like I just felt drawn to Arizona. So like, I do things based on what I feel drawn to, and it always works out and produces something better than what I hoped for. And so I encourage people to follow that, right? Like, that's your guiding light. And when you let go of the how, that's when you can enjoy the process.
Amazing. Yeah, I think for me, I mean, you said so many amazing things, but one of the major takeaways for me was how everything being results based is so masculine. And it's sometimes when we've all grown up in a patriotic world, there are these layers that we're not even aware that could be different, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be thinking about that one for a while. So thank you so much. And we'll be in touch on social media. Where can everybody find you?
Yes, it's joyharrington.ig on Instagram. And I have a podcast, Level Up Babe.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Energetically You. I hope that this episode has helped you to tune into your natural energy sources so that you feel more energized and focused throughout your day. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help more ambitious women just like you accomplish their goals. Don't forget to take a screenshot, share it on social or in your Instagram stories, and tag me at Megan Swan Wellness. See you soon.